Hi, I'm Nathan, aka Nathan Eve Live, and this is Alternate Tuning, Beginner to Advanced, Part 4. Now, in my previous video, I put focus on how to anticipate a favourable outcome when tuned into an unfamiliar alternate tuning, and I showed you how to play the odds to gain the advantage with that. So if you missed Part 3 in this video series, please go back and watch that, because there's some great guidance in there to help support your songwriting capabilities. Now, so far, I've talked about my approach and given a detailed insight into how I go about alternate tuning to create music. So I think it's about time that I showed you a direct example of myself implementing the methods that I've talked about so far during this video series with a song that I've created recently. So let's first have a listen to that song. It's called A Stitch in Time Saves the Nine, and then I'll select a section from that song and break down some of my thoughts during the songwriting process. Now I recall randomly selecting and tuning my guitar into the alternate tuning of F A C G C D sharp. I opened my guitar tablature book to a fresh page, and armed with a pencil I was ready to write down the notes of any chords and melodies that I'd find interesting, and I found this. It had a unique sadness to it, but rhythmically it was way too driven for my liking. So I played around with that passage a little until I found something with more swing to the rhythm, whilst maintaining that feeling of sadness. I was happy with that short and pleasant passage, but it lacked any rise of intensity to resolve it. So my thoughts were to create a crescendo, moving from something lower in pitch and ascending to something higher in pitch to extend that passage. And I found this. Now, all the while when I was playing around building the intensity of that passage, I was constantly referencing the relationship from what I knew was a keeper and what I was trying to add to it, to ensure that the parts connected together in a pleasant way. And now, with that passage extended, it sounded like this. I like that a lot, and I like the way it hangs time at the end and keeps you guessing what's coming next in the progression of that song. But notice at this point that I'm trying to write music without influence, and I'm not consciously using music theory to help myself. I'm simply embracing the emotions of what I've stumbled upon and using my ears to listen out for what I like to hear. Now, maybe I was lucky, but I recall building momentum and completing this song with the same blind improvisation method that I'd began with. And that was great. But let's say that you were writing this song and that you had managed to improvise that first passage, and now maybe, just maybe, you're completely stuck with that progression. You can't extend that passage any further, and you're just not confident that any of the notes that you're trying to add to that passage sound right. Well, luckily, only a short passage of music is usually required to analyze what musical key your song creation belongs to. So, of course, the ideal solution will be for you to now use the guided improvisation method from part 2 in this video series, because that will meet your needs exactly, gifting you smart options that you can put into play with confidence to extend your song progression. Now, this brings us to the end of part 4 in this video series, and in the next episode, I'm going to be focusing on taking short passages of music and showing you how to identify what musical key those passages belong to, so I can bolster your songwriting capabilities when you're tuned into an unfamiliar alternate tuning. So I'll see you all soon.